Hey guys, so today we're going to be checking out the Korean patch notes. These are for December 13th. These aren't the most recent ones, but we'll be kind of going in order of the most relevant ones. So I'm not going to be covering every single section just because there's so much. I'm just going to be really covering the things I think are most interesting to know and talk about. So the main thing we're going to cover right now is the class changes because that's always, to me, the most important because you see what's getting nerfed, what's getting buffed, and everything like that. So first for the Blade Master, they did a few things. First, they fixed an issue where players couldn't use Whirling Scourge for their duration after using Wandering Spirit. They also renamed the ability and stuff like that. They did remove Stomp, and I'm not really surprised because that skill is very weak and there's really no purpose in having it. So they did remove Stomp. Don't cry. No, I was kidding. But they removed Stomp. Also, all their skills now increased up to 200%. So it's just way more threat, which basically makes it easier for them to tank, which is always great because the easier it is to tank as a tank class, the better. So really nice that they added that. For Kung Fu Master, basically what they did for here is they decreased the focus generation for Searing Palm to every 1 second instead of every 2 seconds. So it is 1 second less. It doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're in combat, that does add up pretty quickly. Same with Blade Masters, they also increased their threat up to 200%. So Blade Masters and Kung Fu Masters now have more threat when they're tanking, which means they can hold aggro better. So that's always cool. Other thing is their Searing Blow. It's no longer on a critical hit. It's just on a regular hit with Tiger Strike. So it doesn't have to be critical anymore. It can just be a regular hit. Also, they removed the movement locks and added 50% movement speed reduction. So that's a little bit of a movement speed change. For Destroyer, they basically just fixed the issue, so no changes for that. Force Master, no changes. They just fixed some tooltips and stuff like that. Assassin, their Dart Strike now generates killing intent on hit, so that's a little bit of a buff. Also, at 10 stats, the attack speed of Heart Stab is increased for 5 seconds. So again, another buff, so they have faster attack speed. And then also, the attack speed of the Awakened Heart Stab is increased to the same level as Divine Dragon bracelet procs. So it just kind of syncs better with the Divine Dragon legendary bracelet. Pretty good for that. Not a ton of buffs, but a little bit of a buff. The Summoner, they got an increase in their resist for their bat step to 1.5 seconds. So that is a pretty good increase on their iframe, which will help a little bit. And then their Pedal Storm Toss, this is only for wind build, but it generates 4 focus on hit now. And then now for Blade Dancer, no changes for Blade Dancer. All they really did is fix an issue. I guess when you're using Rolling Typhoon, there's like a weird flash. I haven't really noticed that because I only play really lightning build on my Blade Dancer, so I haven't really noticed that, but I guess there's some type of weird flash when you're using Rolling Typhoon, so glad they can fix that one. And then Warlock, their Windstorm for Shadow build now decreases the cooldown of Leech by another second on hit, so it's just another second off your Leech, which is really nice because your Leech is really powerful for Warlock. So that's cool for that. That's only for Shadow build though, so not for Ice build. Soul Fighter, their Breaking Claw now generates 1 focus on critical hit. And then they decreased their Iron Shoulder to 5 seconds instead of 6 seconds, so it's a 1 second nerf. Well, actually, 1 second buff, not 1 second nerf, sorry. So 1 second less, so that kind of helps a little bit. And then also their Iron Shoulder is now no longer a critical hit. It can just be a regular hit with a Combat Punch. So you no longer have to get the critical hit, you just get a regular hit. And then the Gunslinger got a lot of changes for Gunslinger, and I'm not surprised, just because this class has been kind of, people have been saying it's too strong and stuff like that. So a lot of changes. Main thing, they actually added the Lin Gunslinger, so if you wanted to play as a rat with shooting guns, it will be here in North America and Europe eventually. Probably not super soon, of course, because this patch note just came out less than a month ago. But we are getting Lin Gunslinger, so that's pretty cool. If you're a fan of rats, maybe you hate it because you hate rats, but I'm pretty excited to check it out. They actually have some really cool animations if you just YouTube Lin Gunslinger, so pretty cool. So some of the changes, basically what they did is their crossfire base damage for fire build it was decreased, so that's a nerf, from 10 seconds to 8.75 seconds. And then their unload, flame base damage, was decreased. So this is another nerf. It's a little bit less damage. They also removed additional damage on unload and tombstone. So again, another nerf. I'm not really surprised. And then they removed all track and clear shot effects. They removed crossfire and undertaker moves 2 and 3. And they removed forward fire and change up. So these are a lot of removals on the abilities for mostly fire gunslinger. And then also they moved whip line to level 8, ricochet to level 12, and alpha call to level 30. So basically they just made the level requirements a little bit different, so you won't get them as the level that they're at right now. They'll be a little bit different. So not a ton of nerfs, but they definitely didn't buff the class really at all. Basically, Fire Gunslinger got focused on the most. And again, I'm not really surprised because Fire Gunslinger is really, really strong right now, DPS-wise. So they did nerf some things on that, but not terrible to make it like weak or anything. But it will probably help with the damage being not so strong. So just a little bit of nerfs for the Fire Gunslinger, not terrible. But they felt like it needed to be nerfed a little bit. Also, we'll skip some of these because these are just soul badge changes, stuff like that. There's just a few other things I want to cover, and they're right here. So we are getting 2 new legendary rings, one for PvP and one for PvE. So I'm pretty excited to see how that works out. Also, one of the things they're doing is the souls and pets. The upgrade process is being changed. So it said adjust. So I'm kind of curious to see how much they're changing it, because right now in North America and Europe, upgrading your pet is kind of ridiculous. It's a lot of gold for something that doesn't even give AP or anything like that. It just gives defensive stats. So it's definitely for more the higher end players, because that's kind of like one of the last things you really need to upgrade. You always want to focus on like your weapon and your soul and your accessories, and then like your pet's like your last thing. And since it costs so much, it's basically just something that people put off to the very end. So they are fixing that, maybe making it more cost efficient. And then also the souls are getting changed, so they're going to be more cost adjusted. So don't really know what that means exactly, but I'm guessing same with the pets. It probably just means that they're going to be a little bit cheaper, maybe a little bit easier to upgrade, maybe less oils or something like that. But we'll see. Also, they're removing hard mode for a couple of dungeons. Desolate Tomb, Naru Foundry, Everdrate Citadel, and Avalanche Den are no longer going to have hard mode. So only be normal mode. Not really surprised, because normal mode and hard mode for these dungeons are really easy nowadays. So there's really no point in even having a hard mode. Other things, let's see what else they got. Also, they're changing account bound items. So some of these items are now going to be account bound instead of how they are on North America and Europe. So Raven Feathers, Raven Souls, Void Fragments, Elysium Orbs, Ascendant Fragments, and Ivory Orbs. Basically, all these are going to be account bound now, so they can be tradable and everything like that. So that's pretty great. So let's see what else. So this is probably the last thing. A few changes to some of the dungeons. So let's see some of the bigger ones. Let's see. Oh, one of the ones that I find kind of funny is the Lair of the Frozen Fang. They removed the red wooden dummy. So basically, the dummy where you have to kill the red one instead of the blue and green one to open the doors to the 2 bosses, they removed that. So now, basically, I'm assuming you just can open the doors. You'll be surprised how many times I do Lair of the Frozen Fang. I just LFP it and just get a random party. And I'll still get people who will not kill the red dummy, and will get the timer where you have to wait a full minute. So they're really making it dumbed down so that you can't mess up anymore, but they are removing that. Shatter Mass, this is another one that I'm really happy about. They're making the Corrupted Black Ram wake up faster, so basically you don't have to stand there after the boss battle for freaking 30 seconds. Oh, actually, this is not for the boss. This is for the very beginning. My bad. So basically, the Corrupted Black Ram is in the very beginning when there's 4 of them. So basically, that's pretty time-consuming, just waiting for them to wake up. So now they'll wake up faster, so you don't have to stand there. I actually wish they would have fixed the boss too, because the boss at the end, the corrupted black ram guy, I forgot his name, the captain. he'll basically, you have to wait like a full minute and a half for him to respawn in his evil form or whatever and kill him. So I was hoping they changed that too, but it looks like only the black ram that are asleep, the 4 of them. So that's kind of unfortunate, but at least they fixed a little bit of it. Also, Evandrate Citadel, the boss, the final boss, he basically, when he does the spinning thing, he no longer does like that huge bat step where he like flies across the freaking area. So that's kind of nice because it's really annoying chasing after him when he does that. Also, Midnight Sky Petal Plains, they decreased the requirements to summon the turtle guy. So now the bars are not so hard to get, which is nice because honestly, it is sometimes a pain having to fight all those monsters for a long period of time for each stage. So that is kind of cool that they're doing that. This is another one, Awakened Necropolis. They removed 2 of the 3 defense points, so now there's only going to be 1. So no longer do you have to have everyone on 3 different points. It'll just be 1 point. So making that dungeon very, very, very easy nowadays. Also, let's see what else they did. Beast Bod, they made the bosses spawn faster. I don't really see why they would change this because no one even does Beast Bod. That area has been dead for a very, very long time, but I don't know, maybe they just felt like it needed to be changed. Also, Irontide Forge, this is a big one. Getting hit by the chain lightning from the normal mode, Iron Monkey no longer kills you. So this is making the Iron Monkey really, really easy because you really don't need any mechanics in the normal mode now. So just make it really easy for normal mode, that's for sure. So you might like that just because it's easier to complete it now. So those are most of the changes. They also increased the Hamun points, so they have new abilities. Add new effects, so when you get to 115 and 125 points, there's more damage and more defense, so not too bad. You're going to have to be a pretty high Hamun level, though. But those are most of the changes I want to talk about. There's a few other ones, but those are the most relevant ones that I want to talk about. If you guys enjoyed this video, I'll probably do more. These videos, of course, are really long compared to my other ones, but if you guys like it, I'll probably do more. Because there's a lot more to cover in other patch notes, that's for sure. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys real soon.